All right. Fantastic. Welcome back, everyone, dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive. Sorry, this is the first time really freezing. Sorry, Justice, I suddenly told you to come a bit earlier. We were supposed to have this interview. We're hoping to have a couple of interviews earlier this year. But it looks like everyone is super busy and rescheduling. Kahapon I was supposed to have Ronald Llamas on this show, but mukhang nawala siya sa mga metro systems ng ibang bansa. But anyway, I'm so glad finally, Justice, we're having you back again. Last week, it was complete fireworks. You basically declared openness to debate with Marcoleta, and mukhang so much has happened since last week. So I want to get some updates on that before we go to the meat of discussion, which is the ICC finally confirming what we have been talking about for a long time, which is Bato, Bongo, and a couple of other people will also be seen as co-perpetrators. And let's see where that goes. And also Sara Duterte just declaring that she's going to run for presidency. But just before we go to your other kababayans from Davao, can we start first with what happened with the Marcoleta thing? It got out of control. Lahat kayo kakasuhan niya, pati si Lacson na senador. What's going on? Justice.
Well, he challenged us to a debate, and you know what? If we don't say we accept, sasabihin niya, takot kayo, wala kayong, you cannot stand your ground. So, well, a debate is a debate. So that's a formal. So I accepted it and proposed the topic. The PBA offered to host it, and he accepted, but with a different topic. So malayo masyado yung topic namin. So I finally said, let's just have one topic. Is there a West Philippine Sea? I mean, because he's saying there's no West Philippine Sea. I think that should cover everything. And I hope he will accept that. No? So that's where we are now.
Parang naalala ko yung nung si Baste versus General Torres sa boxing. Biglang nung pumatol si Justice ni Torre. Ang daming conditions ulit si Baste. Ay hindi isang araw, kailangan ko ng 3 days, wag dyan sa Manila. Dapat Justice gawin mo yung ginawa ni General Torre, mag-set up ka na ng debate and then hintayin mo na lang si Marcoleta to come and all. But again, to be fair, maybe I have to get to the good senator also separately for fairness. But di ba parang shifting of goalposts yun? Initially, it was about the legalities or legal nuances of his intervention, right? And then suddenly he shifted the parameters. Ano na siya ngayon? Kissinger na siya ngayon? Geopolitics expert na rin siya? Baka pwede na ako sumama. Just like what? Saan napunta? Ibig sabihin, aminado siya, hindi kanya kaya sa legal debate. Is that what it means?
Well, my objective really is to correct the misimpression that he has generated, no, that there is no West Philippine Sea, and that we cannot claim islands in the Kalainan group that are outside our EEZ. I'm very basic, because if you don't rebut that, that will the people will say, ganyan pala. So basically, this is a matter of educating our people, no? Ano ba talaga yung West Philippine Sea? Bakit may West Philippine Sea? So, but now, people are interested to know why is there a West Philippine Sea? So we have focused it there, no?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you don't need to debate this anymore. Just for me naman, I just find it's very interesting that some of our great statesmen, mas interesado sila i-question kung nasa Google Maps ng West Philippine Sea than question China's 9-dash line, which has been rejected by international law clearly based on 2016 ruling. Wala rin ako nakikitang 9-dash line sa mga Google Maps, but di nila minimension yan. Bakit? Parang it's always questioning our claim in spite of international law, rather than questioning the claims of China. Because last time I checked, bakit tayo alis sa Kalayan? Oh, kiniklaim ng China. Wait, anong basihan ng China? 9-dash line. Wait, nasaan yan sa Google? Like, I find it weird they don't talk about that part of the issue. Parang if it's a question of kung ano yung nasa Google Map, mas problematic pa yung China's 9-dash line.
Yeah, that's correct. Even the 9-dash line has no coordinates. I mean, but it's really I think the solution there is we have to have a curriculum from grade school to college on the West Philippine Sea, our territorial and maritime claims. Para that's it, no? This is the historical and legal basis for our territorial and maritime claims. Para klaro sa lahat. I think we owe that to our people, and I've been trying to convince the DepEd to include this in the curriculum. It's a good. I have a good news that Senator Sani Angara has agreed to include it in the curriculum in the next school year. So hopefully that's a good start.
Absolutely, that's a good start. So maybe thanks to Senator Marcoleta, we're getting back again to what we were doing all those years under Digong and
Yeah.
before, no? So just as we're back on the road again doing our advocacy, akala ko pa
Mm.
naman pwede na tayo mag-move on, which is what we're gonna discuss later in ICC, Sara and all. But
Yeah.
balikan natin, Justice, itong issue ng West Philippine Sea. Like, ako naman wala akong problema, Justice, as long as we have a principle of reciprocity, because the Chinese embassy spokesman seems to be very concerned about, we have to show respect, we have to show blah blah blah.
Mhm.
So Justice, meron ba silang mga senador din na ganyan sa National People's Congress sa China who question China's nine-dash line and say, bigyan nyo sa Pilipinas kasi yun yung sinabi ng clause? Meron ba mga counterparts? You think that can even happen in China? Meron bang, not, is there even a single scholar or senator or, wala silang senator, but legislator in China who questions also their claims? Para fair naman, di ba? Kasi gusto natin academic debate. Do they have that in China, just this last time I checked?
Well, no, you have to follow the party line. I mean, in the moment you get out of it, kulong ka.
Speaking of kulong, Justice, kakasuhan ka daw ng treason. Like, wait lang. Can you refresh us about basic criminal law? Like, can a senator just accuse you and then declare you guilty even if wala tayo sa wartime? Can you refresh memory? What is treason law? Is it even applicable? And can a senator unilaterally be the judge and executioner?
Well, every freshman law student is taught that treason can be committed only during wartime. I mean, it cannot be committed during peacetime. And when he was reminded of this, sabi niya, well, never mind. I will just declare you guilty of treason. So he becomes the complainant, prosecutor, and the judge at the same time. So well, it's getting laughable, but this is a serious thing because the people want to know: is there such a thing as a West Philippine Sea? So, well, alam naman natin nasa AO 29 yan, 2012. That's during the time of President Aquino. And there's a law, Republic Act 12064, uh, and Marcoleta was a member of Congress when that was passed. And it defines the West Philippine Sea. There's a definition of West Philippine Sea that it's our maritime zones. Ang maritime zones natin are territorial sea, exclusive economic zone, and extended continental shelf. So lahat na maritime zones natin pasok. And also, didagdagan pa that the maritime features of the Calayan Island Group form part of the West Philippine Sea precisely because there are islands of the Calayan Group that are outside our exclusive economic zone. So, covered lahat yan. That was well formulated. Because when the AO 29 came out, I objected. Sabi ko, kulang yan. It defines only the West Philippine Sea as the territorial sea and exclusive economic zone. Sabi ko, meron pang isang zone, extended continental shelf. That's why in the new definition, it says are the West Philippine Sea are the maritime zones of the Philippines on the western side of the archipelago. So that has been well thought out, and Marcoleta was a member of Congress at the time. But I don't know if he
But
voted
you
for it
said hindi
because
siya nag-vote.
I
Parang wala siya during voting or something. Parang
tiningnan ko,
absent.
it looks like he was his name was not there.
Yun
He
nga
was
eh.
probably absent.
Just to remind people, dito sa issue ng continental shelf, extended continental shelf, we won a case on the Benham Rise, right? Sa Philippine Sea on
Yeah.
the other side. right? So it's
Yeah,
not like this is not a abstract issue. We have a continental shelf, extended continental shelf confirmed by international law already on the Philippine Sea.
yeah, that's correct. And then we're just doing that on the other side, on the western side. And uh, the of course, we have sovereign rights over the seabed of that. We're entitled to whatever oil and gas and other mineral resources are found, non-living resources in the seabed of the extended continental shelf. And sabi niya, hindi raw recognized in international law yung WPS, West Philippine Sea. But, uh, you know, if you have if the maritime zone is your territorial sea, an exclusive economic zone, you have sovereign rights to exploit all the natural resources, and you have jurisdiction to put up artificial islands in your exclusive economic zone. That's beyond the 12 nautical miles up to 200 nautical miles. That's about 182 nautical miles. If you have those rights, you can name it what you want. In fact, Indonesia named their North Natuna Sea.
Yeah, exactly.
And sinabi ng Indonesia, we can name this because the nine-dash line is void under the arbitral award. They expressly
And yun yung
use,
exclusive economic zone nila off the Natuna Islands.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
uh, if you have the right to exploit the natural resources, you have the right to put up artificial islands in that exclusive economic zone. Who has the best right, best authority to name it? Kayo, ito, tayo. China doesn't have the right to exploit the natural resources. We have the right. And we are not naming underwater features. Yung underwater features may hydrographic commission yan eh. But we are naming the sea, uh, the entire area, and we have exclusive sovereign rights to exploit the natural resources, exclusive right to put up artificial structures. So we are in the best position to name it.
Yeah, I mean, we're
You,
not claiming the entire South China Sea
yeah,
unlike the dash
we
line
are not
claim.
claiming the entire, only
Yeah,
of those areas we have sovereign rights. Sovereign
per
yan. Eh.
international law, per international
Yeah.
UNCLOS. Speaking of international law,
So,
just because you have been accused
you
of.
remember, ano, si, uh, si Trump, he said, I renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America.
Yeah. Gulf of Florida or whatever he wants to call it. Yeah, like my point is, just as going back to this, and also I think there was a problem whereby I think people have misconceptions that you can only claim islands that fall within your exclusive economic zone or
Yeah,
continental shelf.
that's the
That's a separate
misconception of
issue. Yeah,
Marcoleta. Yeah, that's a
that's a
misconception
mistake.
of
Like
Mar.
the Los Palmas case, Falkland Islands,
Yes,
they're not within 200 nautical miles of
yeah.
their
Oh,
original, like claim and state. Yeah.
yeah. Another state can have an island in your exclusive economic zone, even in your territorial sea. It's a different regime.
It's a different regime, and that's what I'm saying. These are the legal nuances that we're missing. So I don't know if this is a question of lack of knowledge about UNCLOS and international law, or is this something else? But as I said, I would be happy to see the same people questioning kung nasa Google Maps ang Philippine Sea, to also question nasaan yung nine-dash line, to also question the basis of China's claim, to also question, like, but I don't see any of those. I wonder why, Justice Carpio. But Justice, I don't want to belabor this too much because baka next thing I know, si Ronald na lang, Llamas na lang yata hindi kinasuhan. Lahat na lang kakasuhan. Ako may kaso sa Supreme Court, ikaw may treason, si ano, like, lahat tayo kinasuhan na. Si Falsis na ano nang ni kaso ni Kilay. Like, so I'm just waiting for someone to file a case against Ronald Llamas. But just as going back to the issue of cases, here we are. We finally have a confirmation na Digong will not be the only one na wanted sa ICC. It will also involve the COO and CEO and department directors. So basically, we're talking about chief financiers, executors, among others. Can we talk about how important it is na finally we have this confirmation? Something that you and I have been talking about for years, together with Attorney Kristen Conti, with Senator Trillanes. Pinagtatawanan tayo back in the day. So I don't know where those people laughing at us.
Well, the first consequence na they are co-perpetrators is that warrants of arrest will be issued. That comes as a matter of course. So madaming maaresto dito, and I think they will. This will reach the Supreme Court, no, uh, because they will, of course, say that you need a warrant of arrest from a local court. That's the main defense there. So, well, it's good if there's a ruling on that, no. But for the President Duterte, he's there already. He's outside the jurisdiction now. So uh, the OSG filed a pleading recently that the uh, habeas corpus should be dismissed because he's outside the jurisdiction, and that's correct. Uh, uh, Even if the Supreme Court now will say you need a warrant of arrest from a local court, uh, that will not benefit President Duterte anymore.
Yeah, can we talk about this? Because I didn't have Ronald to discuss this kahapon. We'll try to get him soon. But that's why some people took issue with Senator Bam Aquino's statement on, well, he said ideally, dapat domestic courts will take care of that. But I think some people interpreted that as medyo tone deaf, if not unhelpful, because we're in the middle of the potential arrest of more senators involved in the ICC issue. And Justice, I want to really ask you, because you come from the Philippine justice system, um, ideal ba yung condition natin domestically to try these issues of EJK, especially the high-profile ones, where clearly, the momentum is has not been most encouraging, at least for some of us from the outside looking at it.
Well, the best evidence there is that up to now there is no single charge against President Duterte for
By any
human
of the
rights
courts in the
violation.
Philippines, yeah.
Yeah, by any of the courts in the Philippines. Ang tagal na. He was, uh, how many years na since he was not a president? So, uh, up to now, not even a preliminary investigation, no, not even a charge. And there's a different administration already, and they haven't even charged him. So, natutulog.
Yeah, I mean, we had Ruben Carranza on this show multiple times, Attorney Carranza, and he was saying like, siguro kung failed state ka, sa gitna ka ng giyera, may excuse ka to say, oh, we cannot do this X, Y, and Z. But we're not a failed state. We're a well-functioning democracy, not perfectly functioning. So clearly something is missing, diba? So the principle of complementarity is papasok yung ICC kung your domestic courts are not doing, your justice system rather, is not living up to the task, right? And we were, at least to a certain point until 2018, part of the Rome Statute and therefore subject to the jurisdiction of the ICC. Justice, where does the Supreme Court ruling on the residual jurisdiction of ICC come in on this issue? And also, what do you think about, okay, to ideally make us capable of handling EJK cases, hindi kaya pwede natin i-nudge yung courts to at least take up the less high-profile cases? I think we're all realistic na when it comes to Duterte's and high-profile people, our justice system is not necessarily stacked against them, to put it mildly. But what about the lower level policemen and, I don't know, SPO1, SPO2s who are involved in EJK? Hindi kaya mas maganda domestic courts will handle it, like how the case of Kian de los Santos was handled by, I think it was a regional trial court, right?
Well,
What do you think
yeah,
about that?
well, by the policy of ICCs, they will only go after the
Yung
leaders.
top guys, yung
Yeah,
architects,
the top
exactly.
guys. So
Exactly.
yes, the policemen on the ground will the ICC will not bother with them. They will only go after the top guys.
Yeah, which is why I
So
found Bam's
yeah,
intervention kind of curious. Like, is he implying that even the top perpetrators who clearly have not been facing accountability in the country will just, like, I mean, I don't know, like, why you should even say that? So I see where the criticism is coming from. Obviously it's not ideal. So why? And just can you remind people how difficult it was for us to get to this point whereby by Monday next week, God willing, inshallah, we'll finally have this trial, much anticipated trial, and dozens of the victims, families, and loved ones and witnesses will finally be allowed to share their testimony. Can you just tell us how difficult it was for us to get to this point? And I remember, di ba, yung nag-live tayo when the arrest was happening, we were surprised that it even happened to begin with. So that's how much impunity we were worried about back in the day.
yeah, it's really tough because a president has a lot of appointed people. Even when he leaves office, they're still there, and in our system, you can appeal from the RTC to the Court of Appeals and to the Supreme Court, and it will take time. So the uh, the process itself is takes a long time, and you have people all around, and you're dealing with the in prosecuting this crime, you need the police to be with you because they are the investigators, and they are the ones who committed the crime because they this is extrajudicial killing, and they use the police to do the killing. So who will who will give you the investigation when the investigators themselves are part of it, or their friends, their co-policemen are part of it? So that's the big problem there. In fact, I think it was Remulla, he said, ang hirap humanap ng mga records, ebidensya. That's why up to now, no, nobody has been charged after those who killed Kian, no? Wala, I haven't heard of anybody after that. Nobody has
And
charged.
we're talking about just one, like we're talking about thousands, if not tens of
Yeah,
thousands of cases here.
y-
So, and wala ilang bang na-convict? I mean, this is crazy, right? So something is seriously wrong.
yeah,
So I
ilan
just
na
don't know
convict,
why we
and
should talk
those
about local.
pending cases, ilan lang yun. I don't know of, wala na yata eh. Yun lang sila eh. Because the problem is this was done through the police force, and the investigation starts with the police. So nabara ka agad. And imagine, I think there was a police report, PNP report, and it's quoted in the resolution of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court quoted a police Philippine National Annual Report, which stated that 30,000 people have been killed in the war on drugs.
It's like war mode,
But
right? Like like
but
when
you
the
have
country's
only
war.
how many? How
Yeah,
many pending cases?
how many exactly? So something is seriously wrong. Kaya nga sabi ko, I to even be charitable about this, I just felt, BAM's intervention was untimely, to put it nicely, right? So going back to this justice, so what is the implication ng Supreme Court ruling on the residual jurisdiction, and how can this play? So let's talk logistics now. So, well, I don't know where's Bato. 3 months na natin siyang pinag-usapan, hindi pa rin siya nagpakita. But shouldn't Bato feel comfortable, show up in the Senate? I mean, after all, di ba? Dapat dadaan sa domestic institutions yung potential arrest niya. So what are we looking at here?
Well, I think Bato is hiding because he truly believes there's already a warrant of arrest against him. Because remember, the issuance of the warrant of arrest by the ICC will not be publicized until it's served. Because I mean, you're tipping the guy to hide, no, and they will not do that. That's why the policy is to keep quiet, for them to not to publicize or admit that there is already a warrant of arrest. On your question on the residual uh, 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 obligation
Residual
of the
jurisdiction
Philippines,
of ICC. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, residual jurisdiction of ICC. It's very clear in the decision of the court in Pangilinan versus I think Senate. No, uh, the the court said that uh, the ICC has jurisdiction uh, from the time of the notification of withdrawal and 1 year thereafter, because that's what's in the treaty. And we have the obligation to cooperate with respect to those crimes. Even now, we have the operation, the Philippine government has the obligation to cooperate with respect to crimes committed during that period when we were the period we were member of the Rome Statute, no, which established the ICC. So there is that residual obligation. That was a unanimous decision of the Supreme Court.
So shouldn't that already been the legal basis for the arrest of Digong and prospective arrest of Batos? Kung meron ng residual jurisdiction, then the Philippine government has every reason to cooperate, right? If there's warrant of arrest for these
Yes,
people.
that's why the ICC issued that, and that's why the government cooperated. The the Marcos government cooperated, but they said we'll do it if there's an Interpol. So they did it through that, no? And also because we have our own domestic law that if someone is accused by an international tribunal of crimes against humanity, the government authority has the option to turn him over to the international tribunal or to prosecute him here. So that was the authority. Aside from the residual authority under the Rome Statute, because if you are a member, you just don't cut your relations right away. There's a 1 year period. Aside from that residual jurisdiction, we have our domestic law.
I'm not going to comment anymore on the Supreme Court's ruling on the impeachment issue, but what are you expecting, or what should we rather expect from the Supreme Court on this issue of potential arrest of other folks under the auspices of the ICC? Kasi this is an urgent issue, hindi lang siya retrospective, it's prospective na eh. You could have more senators being arrested. I mean, madidepress na daw si Robin Hood Padilla kasi siya na lang daw matitira sa lahat na lang ma-arrest or mawawala.
Well, I have always said this, no, from the very start, that uh, it could go either way on the issue whether to implement the ICC warrant of arrest, you need a local judge to issue a warrant of arrest. Whether that request for arrest of the ICC should first go to a local judge because the Constitution says no warrant of arrest shall be issued except by a judge. Hindi sinabi local, except by a judge. No? So it's a question of interpretation. So it's up to the Supreme Court. It could go either way from my point of view.
But timing-wise, hindi kaya dapat meron na something by now? Considering medyo ano
Well,
na eh, moving target
the
na to eh.
well, but to ask for a ruling from the court, but the court said it's premature because you don't have a warrant. You cannot show a warrant of arrest.
So, it will be retrospective at some point because
So
the warrant will only happen when the arrest happen.
yeah, kaya nga sabi ko sa iyo noon, mag-surrender na siya ngayon pero in the custody of the Senate and then immediately file. So that is his
Yeah.
dilemma.
That is his dilemma. That's a good point. That's a good point. And of course, hindi na siya nag-iisa. At least, yun nga, I thought they all loved to be with Tatay Digong the other year. They were expressing their fealty to him, especially during elections. That paid well for them. But parang hindi sila excited to join Tatay Digong in The Hague. Bakit kaya, Justice? I mean, Robin Hood na nga, nag-volunteer. Hindi nga siya kasama sa situation na
Well,
yan eh.
alam mo, 40 years ang maximum penalty dyan. Kahit na kalahati lang ibigay sa iyo, mahirap.
Yeah, so
Kahit
at
na
least for
20
Digong,
years.
you can say he lived his life. Yeah.
At least for Digong, I mean, he will not live that long
Yeah, he
anyway.
lived his life anyway. Na-enjoy niya lahat. Itong mga to fresh, ano pa eh. Fresh pang buhay. So, this is crazy. Let's get to the last part of our discussion, just as I know you're tired because you had a long day and all. But what do you think about Sara Duterte finally declaring? I mean, hindi ko alam pang ilang declaration na yan. But this one seemed kind of different, right? Naka-black siya, parang galit siya. Is Sara kind of threatening people that, okay, now you're going after my people, my dad, whatever, tatakbo akong presidente, yayarin ko lahat? Yun ba yung mensahe dyan? What is your read of that?
Well, the message I think is that uh, that I could be the president, so you make your choice now. I mean, are you with me or against me? And remember that video. He said he's capable of cutting your throat,
There are
chopping
other
your
videos
head.
na mas malala na we cannot
So
mention.
I think it's a message that those who want to go after me in the impeachment should realize that I could be the president. That's basically the message.
Well, I mean, a certain other legal luminary, a certain Cayetano, di ba, sabi niya, itong impeachment is really about election lang naman. Talunin niya lang siya sa election. I mean, this is the amazing quality of senators, people we have as our statesmen. Talunin niya lang sa elections. Huwag na natin idaan to sa judicial scrutiny, sa trial, like popularity contest. I mean, just as last point, I mean, you're from Davao also. You're another great product of Davao. What makes Sara Duterte so confident na karapat-dapat siya maging presidente ng isang buong bansa? Katulad natin na napaka-komplikado. Ano yung mga katangihan niya? Ano yung mga achievements niya? Is he a great lawyer, great statesman? Ano ba yung, where do you think it's coming from? And what should we find in a leader, in our next president? Do we need more Nepo kids? Do we need more dynasties? Or maybe we need finally some competent person beyond dynasties?
Well, I think what drives her is that the surveys, she's showing about 48%, 47, 45. And she has, I think, doubled than the next guy, more than double. And if you are at that height, at that stratospheric level, I mean, you are sending a message that I'm the next president.
So, so Justice, mag-defect na tayo kay Sara kasi inevitable na ba or there is baka we should do also like parang yung sa kaibigan natin. Hindi, domestic courts na lang. Let's ano na Justice, should we defect na?
Sanay na tayo sa opposition eh. We are very independent, so
Permanent opposition. Sana naman hindi permanent opposition, Justice. So, just on the closing note, you tried the one sambahayan, back in the day. So for the next presidential elections, do you think we finally need a united front? Kasi we saw how the uniting was so successful electorally. But coming 2028, if Sara Duterte is such a prohibitive front runner, there's just no way you can field 3 or 4 candidates. We know who's going to win in that case. So there should be a united front, right?
yeah, I think Frank Dillon said it well, no? Unless you unite, you will lose.
Yeah.
So I think we have to unite everybody here uh, because the surveys tell us to unite. Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah, hang together or be hung apart. I think that's kaya tinatanong ko si Ronald since 2020, magpapanik ba tayo? Magpapanik ba tayo? I think magpapanik na dapat ngayon, but I suspect he's not panicking. If anything, he's excited. I'll keep it there, Justice. I know you had a long day. Baka madulas tayo. We'll say something. Baka mapamakino tayo. So I'll keep it at that. Thank you so much, Justice Carpio. And hopefully we can continue this discussion even under more auspicious and interesting circumstances, especially after the trial at the ICC next week. Salamat, Justice. Have a lovely day.
Thank
God
you,
bless.
Richard.